Maybe you'll never see the Seven Wonders. Maybe you'll never see Paris in the spring, or many of the other amazing adventures that life could take you on. But what I hope doesn't happen at the end of your life is that you never truly met yourself. My name's Emma, and I have been on an intentional living journey for the past 11 years, and I'm here to share what I've done to get me there and what I wish I had to get me here quicker. In life, we are going to face many things, but what we need to face is ourselves first and foremost. So the first thing that we're gonna have to do is to master our life. You are going to go to the grocery store, buy groceries, you're going to be eating, you're going to be spending money, you're going to be dealing with emotions for the rest of your life. Every single day from now, you're going to face one of these things multiple times a day, and you're going to need to figure it out. So how can you start learning more about yourself and how you do these things so that you can stop thinking about it? At the end of the day, we are all going to face difficulties and easy times, but we are going to need to do it with the resolution that it's not always going to be easy. So what can we do today to make it a little bit easier? We have to look at life as a set of things that is getting us closer to what we want or further away. So what can you do to start communicating better, eating better, buying groceries better, spending money better? It is to figure out who you actually are and what you value. What does success look like to you? What does it look like on a daily, weekly, and honestly, every kind of basis? What does success look like for the end of this year? What does success look like at 98 years old? And if you have no idea, you're at a great place to figure it out, to put one foot in front of the other and say, you know what? No one else has lived this life any longer than I have, and if they have, it's still their first time. So sit down with your emotions, with your thoughts, and figure out which ones are working for you and which ones aren't. We work for people all day who are constantly making these decisions. Are you doing enough? Are you showing up enough? And they can make the decision that you're not. So you have that control over your own life. How can you step back and say, you know what? This thought pattern that I've had since I was a child is no longer working for me. Let me eliminate it. You have to eliminate the noise from life. You're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to go grocery shopping. So why not sit down and make a plan so you don't have to keep thinking about it? 6 months ago, or maybe 3 months ago, whatever it was, I had to decide that I was not going to spend more time thinking about laundry than I needed to. I got 3 laundry baskets, and each one has a purpose, and when one of them is full, it gets washed. And you might be thinking, wow, that's really silly, or really smart. But either way, it helped me reduce the time I think about washing clothes. It's something I'm gonna have to do. I need to smell good and have clean clothes, but I didn't want to do it all the time or think about it at any amount. So I had to figure out a way to deal with it. Now we can break our entire life down into these categories, and it might be really difficult and daunting to think about like your whole life. This is why I've created the freedom framework that I have down below. Over the years, I've realized that we have 5 freedoms: mental, physical, emotional, financial, and spiritual. When all of those are in order, when we have figured out what we want in every category, then we are truly living an authentic and intentional life. But we are continuing to do that whether we sit down or not with these. But the time's gonna pass anyway. We might as well direct it into one direction versus another. So master your life and spend time learning. At the end of the day, everything can be learned and unlearned. You can choose to spend time with the masters, or you can spend time with people who have no idea what they're doing and convincing you that they do. You don't have to give your entire life to the things that you have so far. Sit down and start deciding what it is that you actually want. You, not your parents, not your sister, not your brother, not your boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, coworker, job, the place that you live in. No one gets to decide what your life looks like other than you. And if you say that they are influencing you, you are still making the ultimate decision. You continue to live in that location, drive that car, go to that job. You could actually choose to not go there anymore, but you are choosing to do it. So what are you choosing to do? And life will pass anyway. So we might as well do something with it. Give yourself the respect that your life deserves. And that is the second thing that you have to do, is to start respecting who you are, who you have always been. And this is something that we recently talked about, but I believe it is worthy of talking about again, because respect is something that is lacking in a great deal of things. You sign up for something and that person is not giving you as much as you want to. You go somewhere and the food isn't great, the service isn't great, and yet you're still expected to give a tip. The respect has disappeared because we are not choosing to respect ourselves. You don't need to have a Netflix and an HBO and a Hulu subscription. You can choose to respect yourself and your time more and your money more by saying, all right, one of these is something that I go to all the time. These other ones aren't. Respect your time, your money, your life more by deciding what gets your attention and what doesn't. Because everyone is spending millions upon billions of dollars to get access to your attention. They believe it's worth it to get you to watch a 30-second ad to buy this thing. They are spending millions of dollars to place these 10-second ads in front of you. So if you believe that your time is worth that much, you won't be giving it out so freely anymore. Your time is worth millions and billions of dollars, but you have to be the first one to believe it, to respect yourself enough to say, you know what? I ate this yesterday, but I'm not going to eat it anymore. Maybe I showed up in that conversation this way today. 10 minutes from now, I don't have to do it anymore. You can choose to be a new version of you in every single second by showing up for you. At the end of the day, no one really cares what you do or don't do, but they will try to take advantage of your time if you allow them to have it. Respect isn't going to appear overnight or out of nowhere from others, but it can appear right now for you. And once you start to set these boundaries and people don't maintain your level of respect to yourself, you'll stop giving them the time and attention anymore. You could have friends that reach out to you sparingly or not at all, or coworkers who aren't really that nice to you. And you'll start to see that giving them this time actually isn't worth it anymore. That person is not worthy of the time and the attention and the tears and the energy that you have been giving them for years. They aren't worthy of you. But the first person who needs to decide that you are worthy of this life, of spending all of your time and energy on it, is you. And no one can do it for you. When I started my intentional life, I had to decide that I was going to take my life, my power, back into my own hands and decide what happens next. That intention led me to buying a condo, to paying off my student loans, to showing up for me by writing every single day. I have over 30, 40, 50 journals of intentional time that I've spent with myself, sitting with my emotions, writing what I've learned, spending time with people who have lived life and who have learned things so I don't have to learn it from scratch every time. But the lessons that you do learn are extremely important, but learn them once and then move on. And if it is the 100th time that you are facing something, that's okay too. You can finally decide that this is the last time that you're going to need to learn it from scratch. You're going to move on. And every time you show up for yourself, you're building the trust back within you. So you're not depending on that job to keep you around. You're not depending on all of your friends to give you the emotional support you need. It's coming from within. You're building the foundation, the structure that is going to allow every beautiful thing you've ever wanted to come into your life. One flower is beautiful, but if you don't understand and accept that one flower is beautiful and is worthy of its life and being grown and nurtured, you're not going to see a field of flowers as being beautiful and worthy as well. You're going to miss the forest for the trees. You're going to miss all of these things that you've been working so hard for. If you do not believe your life is worthy, you're not going to be grateful for it, and you're not going to keep pursuing the things that you want because you don't know what you want. But you can choose to change that today. Everyone gets to a point where they want to live a more intentional life. And how I know that is because there's things called divorce, a midlife crisis, moving to another state, another country, learning a new language, breaking up with someone, getting into a relationship. People usually wait until the point where they've realized that no one actually cares. The reason it's a midlife crisis is, I assume, I am not quite there yet, is because people have figured out that no one else cares. That your kids and your house and your relationship is really just your problem. And it is a much better place to be today, deciding that you're worthy of this beautiful life, than waiting until you have a broken relationship, career, view of yourself, 100 pounds to lose, or whatever it is. You don't have to get to that point to decide that you're worth it. You could decide today, right now, that you're actually worthy of this beautiful life. And that is why so many people achieve the kids and the relationship and the job and making millions of dollars and aren't happy. It's because along the way, they forgot that one flower is beautiful and worthy of being admired and encouraged. So we don't have to wait until that point to start living with intention. We can actually start today. And that every choice we make with the understanding that it is our decision, whatever it is, gives us our power back. And everyone is trying to tell you that your choices don't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter what you have for dinner. It doesn't matter that you're buying something that's sustainable or at a higher cost, so there's a living wage behind that purchase. People are going to tell you, society is going to tell you this message because it keeps you small. And you don't have to stay small anymore. This is your life. No one else has the ability to guide it, to direct it in any direction other than you. You have to choose. You have to decide that you are worthy of the respect. You are worthy of that beautiful life. And I keep saying beautiful because that was something, even though I've been doing this journey for years, that I forgot about. Beauty is all around us. It is in the colors, it is in our laugh, it is in our smile, it is in our decisions. If you want to live a beautiful life, make beautiful choices. That is a quote from one of the Stoic philosophers. There's quite a few, and it is something that I'm choosing to go back to all the time. If I want to live a life that I'm proud of, I have to make decisions that I'm also proud of. Every minute that passes cannot be taken back, but we have to decide that we can do something with those minutes. We can sit down with the greats who have learned and who can teach us something. And one of the places that I've done this is I signed up for masterclass, and it is so beautiful to watch somebody who has loved what they've done throughout their life and is willing to share. There is nothing that brings me more joy than looking at other people who are enjoying what they're doing. People who have dedicated thousands upon thousands of hours and days to their craft move through this world in a very different way. These are people who have spent the time, who figured it out, and who have respected themselves enough to believe that they can get there. One of the people who I've watched in masterclass was one of the astronauts, Chris Hadfield. He wanted to be an astronaut before an astronaut program even existed. He was 5 or 6 years old when he saw the first person land on the moon. He's from Canada, so Canada did not have a space program, and he wanted to be an astronaut, and he was going to spend his entire life up until the point that they created one to become that. He had to create his own journey. There was no one telling you, go do this and that and you'll become an astronaut. There was no path for him. He just did what he thought was right. And it was beautiful to get to sit there and watch him be so excited about sharing his story and how much he loved the amount that he had to learn to get into space. And then one day, the ad in the newspaper came, because that's how people learned about jobs back then, was an ad in the newspaper. And it said, wanted astronaut. And he knew this was his chance. And of 5,000 people, he was one of the 10 chosen. So we can look at life and realize that there is something more out there. There's something granular about the decisions that we make, but there's something incredible as well. There's only been 500 of the 11 billion people who've lived on the earth who've been in space. And yet he believed he would be one of them. And we can believe that too about ourselves. But we have to respect our time and our journey to get there. We have to show up for ourselves first. If he didn't go to class, if he didn't go to the military, if he didn't show up day in and day out for this goal that he didn't know would ever come to fruition, he wouldn't be one of the greatest astronauts to have lived. So respect your journey. Show up for yourself. Decide that what you're doing matters and the world will follow. When you decide that you're worthy of this life, of this dream, of this journey, and it wouldn't have been placed in your heart if it wasn't true, you start to create it. You start to move differently when you realize what you've been through has gotten you this far, and what's going to get you next is everything that you've learned so far and what you're going to learn along the journey. Every decision, every choice, every time you've eaten the fruit over the candy, you have decided that you're worthy of this life. You have many examples in your life where you did show up for yourself. So look to those. When you look back to your past, pick out the happy moments, the exciting moments, and then move forward. Make a different choice, show up differently, let go of those people, let go of the past. You can't change it anyway. You can't change how much time you spent on that thing, but what you can decide is that you're not going to do it anymore and then follow through. That is the other half of respect. It's the lack of follow through. People aren't respecting your time, and it is because they are not achieving the thing that they said that they would. They aren't giving you a meal that is worthy of the money that you spent. They aren't giving you what you have put in, and that lack of respect needs to come back to you and say, I deserve more. But only you can decide that. You decide today, tomorrow, and every day after that you're worthy. And you make thousands of decisions a day. And it might not feel like it, but when you choose to watch that video over reading that book or going for a walk, that is a choice and a vote for who you want to be. So who do you want to be? Which version of you are you going to respect more? Which version of you is going to come out to be better? So if we have to become the masters of our life, we have to deserve it. And only we can decide that we deserve it, that we are worthy of that respect. Respect yourself and start to see how other people start to respect you too. When you don't answer that email super late at night, you are saying, I respect my evenings and that my job ends at 5 p.m. because you do not pay me to work 24/7, yet so many of us do. Your friends aren't owed thousands and thousands of hours being spent thinking about what they said or what they didn't say or showing up for them or creating all these things. But they are being worthy of that if that is what you are doing. So see if they actually are worthy of that. Do they show up for you? Do they answer your calls? Do you have fun with them? And if you don't, that is a really important thing to know, because you're only giving to them because you think they do, but they don't. And you're running into this cognitive dissonance. What you're doing doesn't match up to who you believe yourself to be. So who do you believe yourself to be? Is it greater than who you were yesterday, or is it actually not as great? But only you get to move through the world and decide that. So decide it. No one else is going to do this for you. No one else is going to read the finance book, going to go to that class. No one's going to go to the grocery store and buy you groceries. So go do it and go put in the systems that'll help you get there. There are a few worksheets that I've created down below that will help you figure it out. But at the end of the day, you have to put in the work. You have to answer the questions, and then you have to go and do the actions. We can sit and think about our lives, but at some point we have to get up and create it and choose it and make it happen. So what are you going to do? The third thing that we truly need to do is to start following a schedule. It's boring, I know, but the boring things are usually the ones that move us forward, and fairly quickly. A schedule tells you that you have figured out what you're going to do with your days. that you're going to go to this appointment, you're going to show up for this class, you're going to show up for this meetup, to go to the grocery store, and you don't have to put your life down to the single minute, but follow an idea of what you want to get done in the day. And this is something that I personally am also still working on, and I have had the bullet journal, I've had Google Calendar, I've had a lot of different places that I've tried this, but I want to be more intentional about it myself, because I do want to know how my day is going to go and not just free ball it every single time and get most of the things done, but then I forget this and then I'm worried about that. And we don't have to do it anymore. We don't have to give this thing our attention anymore that we've done for so many years. We can choose today to actually stop and to figure it out. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to start using my bullet journal every day and write a list of things that I want done. And one of the things that Ryder Carroll recommends is to write out 3 things that you need to get done and everything else is a bonus. Can you do that? Can you, for the next 7 days, write down 3 things in the morning that you have to get done that day, and everything else that you get done is just the sprinkle on top? We have to change our mindset from being like, oh, we haven't done all of this stuff to, but I did it, but I did this thing. And we have to start feeling better about what we do, end up figuring out and doing, instead of constantly feeling bad about what we didn't do. If we flip that mindset, if we decide, hey, I actually did do a lot because it showed up for me, and that is something to be celebrated and to be excited about. Can you become more excited about your day, and can you pull in that excitement? Can you choose to be happy and plan for it? Can you move through the world with the understanding that you're worthy of it? Can you follow a schedule? Can you move forward? So let me know down below, what are the 3 things that you want to focus on this week? And maybe the 3 things you achieve every day are the same thing. Maybe it's you write in your journal, you go for a walk, and you drink 3 bottles of water. Hey, if you do those 3 things, awesome, and everything else is a bonus. And you're gonna do other things. You're gonna cook food, you're gonna show up to work, you're gonna brush your teeth. Can you see all those other things as an exciting thing, as an awesome thing? And start to see the things that you do as an amazing thing versus not enough. Because when we think that everything we do is not enough, we inherently believe that we are not enough. And living with intention is deciding that you are enough, that what you do every day is actually worth it. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And the only person who gets to decide that or not is you. So why not choose to be happy? At the end of the day, it takes the same amount of time to be angry versus to be happy. And that really changes it for me, because when you say, oh, it takes the same amount of energy to be happy versus sad, because we're so used to being mad all the time, it feels like it takes less energy, and realistically, it takes less energy to be happy, but it takes the same amount of time, right? The 10 minutes that you spend complaining, those 10 minutes could be used to be happy or to be excited or to plan something. So look at it as your time. How can you spend your time more wisely? If you had to hand people money every time you thought of them, or every time you wanted to do something but didn't, and you had to hand money away, you might get to the point quicker that you stop doing it. But you don't have to see it that way, because your time is actually worth way more than money. Because you've already exchanged your time for that money, and now when you throw money at something, you're throwing that time again. But your time is the only resource that we don't know how much we have of, and is the one thing that drives everything. So we have to stop acting as if tomorrow is promised and that 20 years from now is. We aren't guaranteed a long and beautiful life. I hope it is, but I don't know if it will be. And I want to live today with intention, so that if it ends sooner than it needs to, than I want it to, I can look back and say, at least I did what I could, and I came here and lived my purpose. Can you say that you're living your purpose right now? And your purpose in this world is truly to be happy. It's to figure out what excites you and to follow that as much as possible. Choose your life. Master your life by deciding that you're worth it, and that respect is something that starts with you. Trusting yourself starts with you. Loving you starts with you. So what can you do to get yourself a little bit closer? If you're gonna do 3 things every single day, let me know down below what those could be and tell me how you're doing, because being intentional is not what the world tells us to do, but it's something we have to do. And do it like our life depends on it, because it does. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will see you very soon.